Continued from the Journal of Sergeant Frank Butler, Weirwood, Charleston, West Virginia, October 9th, 1882. Annie recorded Catherine's story and played it back for me. If I had respect for the woman before, it has exponentially increased. Annie and I sat by the cherry tree afterwards, and she held my hand so tight. We were guided around the grounds after that by Abigail. I found myself more respectful of her, having heard the account of her actions. We came to the infirmary and met Dr. James Penrose. He's a quiet and reserved sort, but I caught his eye and saw a sharpness there. He was interested in the Handbook, and I loaned him mine to read for himself. A short time later, he returned it to me and delivered his firm intentions to be enlisted as a cartographer. That's good news, sir. I thank you, as will the RSA. But this ain't a decision you have to make in 30 minutes. Here, read it in your own time.
I've read it, I'm sure.
Sleep on it. This is a big decision.
Beyond America, when considering the damage done to America by the Wendigo over the past 11 years, it is natural to question the state of the countries outside our borders. What of Europe, Africa, Asia? Here is a hard question, but one we must accept.
All right. That's a heck of a party trick you have there, but there's more to...
Food of the Wendigo. It is a common misconception that the Wendigo will feed exclusively on humans. This is not at all the case. What appears to be true, however, is that humans are to date the only animals that can suffer the infection and succumb to the physical and mental state of the Wendigo.
You memorized the whole book.
It is simply the way my mind works, sir. Do you think that might be useful to you and your people?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Splendid, then. I have just one favour to ask.
What's that?
Do you, by chance, have a bag of peppermint humbugs upon your person?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. We were in Washington this spring, and there was this little general store that had reopened and started making candy again in their cookhouse in the back. Annie said that it was...
Excellent. One of those will do fine, then.
Incredulously, I removed the crumpled bag from my inner pocket. He took a humbug, and an expression passed over his face as he placed it in his mouth, one of softness and longing. As quickly as it had arrived, it was gone, and his eyes were once again open and piercing. He gave a tip of his hat and took his leave, sucking noisily on his way down the corridor. I've seen that expression many times before on the faces of those brought back into contact with a taste or smell from long ago, but it is all the more gratifying to see it commandeer the visage of someone clearly so versed in hiding those memories away. Before I placed the book back into my coat, I gave it an experimental sniff. Beneath the heavy scent of the tanned leather cover, there was indeed a faint trace of peppermint from the candy I stored in the same pocket. I can tell this fellow is going to prove useful.
From the Journal of James Penrose. Rutledge Road, east of Charleston, West Virginia, October 11th, 1882. We set out from Weirwood at 8 a.m. I've called that place home for over a decade, and every step away felt to me like the movements of a struggling butterfly emerging from his atrophied chrysalis. What gathered in horror at the back of my throat and required repression on a minute-to-minute basis was the realization that against all expectation upon this particular butterfly's reintroduction to the world, it would seem that he is still very much a caterpillar. Overmuch as expected of us. These stirring accounts in our new Handbook, though inspirational to me in the twilight of yesterday's evening, now seem like the admirable work of another species entirely. They are tales of bravery and forthright thinking, and through these the marshalling of hearts and minds. I am a doctor, bound to set bones and stitch up lacerations, and I will play my part as best I can, but the pressure to comport myself in ways both historic and equally inspirational to those within this book is, I will confess, the greatest of my enemies, barring my progress with bared and venomous fangs. This enemy knows my weakness and essential fallibility, my selfishness and fear. Abigail rode in silence beside me as we trailed behind the two experienced cartographers, weighed, measured, and decorated as they were. If Miss Grey has such qualms, she hides them better than I. Her face remains an unwavering mask of self-assurance, adorned with a cocksure grin. I shall not confide in her, as it would betray my weakness and dependence, but I am supremely grateful that I am not alone in this endeavour, and that it be she who steps out alongside me. For our companions I will vouchsafe my admiration has not flagged in the cold and intimidating light of the new day. Sergeant Butler is the kind of chap I could follow into battle, and most likely end up tending to the grisly wounds of only very little. He seems the sensible, determined sort, with preservation of life upon his mind, and I shall be observing him most closely for clues as how to comport myself. His lady wife, Annie, may be even more worthy of attention. I observed her closely as she toured our grounds, and found someone of similar attentiveness to my own level, only skilled in a different mode of situational surgical assessment. She reads people. She reads people, and is able to respond to them with natural charms and an assertiveness that I suspect makes her the perfect model for a cartographer. Her demeanour is averse to aggression. Yet I sense in her a readiness and willingness to respond with deadly force. It is this contradictory balance that makes her such a formidable example of Director Arlington's ideal American. By late afternoon we had paused on several occasions to log new terrain on the maps. Abigail took great pains to point out relevant details about our surroundings to our companions, whilst she still could. We were both clearly aware that we were now reaching the borders of our understanding of the known landscape. In fact, as we passed beyond this boundary, there were many times I caught her gazing about the surroundings with fascination. Fascination she would typically keep obscured. She has manifestly longed for this day. Around 5 we approached a caravan in the road, a simple wagon that had been drawn at an angle and seemingly abandoned in a hurry. Scattered clothing and possessions hither and thither suggested it had happened fairly recently. It was in fact possible that someone still occupied the interior of the wagon. What happened next is recorded here with the best of my abilities.
Everybody off your horses. We're about to be ambushed. Just act like you're real interested in the wagon there. They go for the horses first, then the men. If the ladies give up, they get prizes. But see now, if we dismount, they won't shoot the horses because they'll be looking to claim them too. That means you fellas need to get out of sight, quick. Butler, you get on under that wagon with the good doctor. I've got one of them. Over there, behind the chestnut tree, standing on its own.
I'll get the one by the rock in the creek. That should give us some cover to the west.
Unless we've missed one, that is. Abigail, could you be a dear and keep your eyes west? See if you can spy a body looking to take a shot at us. Then follow my husband under that wagon there nice and quick-like. Things are about to get real unpleasant. Dr. Penrose, you be ready to tend some gunshot wounds. Got one of them.
Well done, my darling. I got the one by the creek, too. Is anybody hit?
None here.
I'm fine. Cracked my knee on a fucking wheel. It's not fatal.
You keeping your eyes west, girl?
They're west. No sign so far.
These boys won't shoot for much longer. How easy do you think it is to find new bullets all the way out here? They're just trying to spook us into bolting into the open.
Oh, I know.
I know you know, but we're not playing home defense anymore here. This is their territory.
For the time being.
Told you.
Jacob, you hit? Willem?
You're damn straight Jacob's hit. Willem, too.
Cocksuckers!
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on now, fellas. For I have a proposition for you.
What kind of proposition?
Who am I talking to? What are your names?
Fuck you, that's my name.
Virgil?
Well, Mr. Virgil, Mr. Fuck You. Be honest, fellas. How much do you make raiding these here countrysides? I'm willing to bet not much.
We make plenty.
Maybe so. I see 2 possibilities. Option A, you gentlemen are real, true robber barons, living fat off the booty you haul with each passing train of mooks. In which case, you'll very shortly be killing us with your many bullets, taking our clothes, horses, and weapons back to your well-stocked, hidden, and defensible hideout. But there's an option B. Option B is that you're tired, hungry, and scared shitless, and haven't had a hot bath or a friend you could trust in a dog's age. That pickings you make out here just about keep you alive and on the brink of desperation every morning when you wake up feeling sad and scared and angry, and you'll never listen to the words of nobody outside your little group. In which case, I'd say within the next 100 seconds we're going to kill all of you, probably losing 1 or 2 of us in the process.
Just fucking kill him.
Hold on now. Hold on. There's also my proposition, option C, that you should consider, because I think you're going to like it. You boys come with us.
What?
I I am 100% serious, sir. You are talking to 4 representatives of the reunified states government. We were, up until the point you opened fire on us, on our way back to our base camp, which is not far from here and populated entirely by rigorously trained military types. They are expecting us home for supper. In fact, they're most definitely going to come looking for us if we don't show up. So that base camp of yours better be supremely well hidden and or mighty defensible if that ends up being the case. However, and I'm not yanking your chain here, because what would be the point? If we bring you along and put you to work, you can earn an honest living rebuilding this country. There are dozens of men and women at the camp and thousands more back in Washington, all of whom could use your help.
You got any proof of this?
Plenty, but you've got to trust us long enough to show you the appropriate documentation.
Hey, Virgil! Seems like you're more of an accommodating fellow than your loudmouth friend over there. How about you shoot fuck you in the face for us and we'll leave you alive?
Fuck you too!
Hey, Virgil, she's just joking with you. Don't do anything foolish now. We want you both. What good's another dead man to us? Miss Grey, I would appreciate it if you would let me handle this.
You're handling this? Tiny, crazy little girl, you're juggling with snakes here!
I have to side with Miss Grey on this one. If we trust them for one moment, those twitchy, drunken imbeciles are just going to open fire again. They're scared. We're scared. It's not worth the risk.
Have a little faith, you two.
I do have faith, but it's the kind that has a limit. There's a window between cautious and stupid, and that's where my faith is. And it sure as hell doesn't cover trust and mercy to a couple of shit-heel raiders. Now, I don't know how cartographers are supposed to act in this scenario, but I know if this was me alone, I would shoot those two down the moment I see their heads.
Well, it's not you alone, Miss Grace. You just button your lip.
Come on now, what choice do we have here?
We got plenty of choices, as always.
Do we? Do we?
I'm the leader, I say what we're doing.
I think she's telling us the truth.
Why would anybody give a damn about us?
Ask her again.
Now, this is bullshit. How do we know the moment we step out you won't just shoot us both to save your hides?
It does seem rather too good to be true.
Well, let's see. Does either of you have a deck of cards on you?
I do, ma'am. It's missing the king of clubs, so we just use a picture of him.
You got an ace of hearts in there?
Yeah.
What the flying fuck does this have to do with anything?
Toss it up in the air, Virgil. What are we, 300 yards from you?
It seems like it. Just toss it up.
Don't do it.
Why not?
You'll give away our position.
They know where we are. Tossing it now, ma'am.
Did I get it?
Holy shit!
Okay, that was pretty impressive.
Well, all right now. You do the smart thing and forget about options A or B, and I swear to the Virgin Mary herself, and every saint you could name, that I will not shoot you both in your hearts, or any other tender area of your person, and for that matter, neither will any of my party. But if you do something stupid out of fear or greed or just plain mistrust, then I swear by those same holy personages that your shirts will cry red.
Y'all have got hot baths where you come from?
Not as often as we'd like, but some's better than none.
What kind of work you got for us?
Well, what can you do? Any of you a smith or a leather worker?
Well, Willem is a smith. Well, he was anyhow.
Sorry about that.
I can cook pretty good.
We can get food, right? Well, we have food. How about you, stranger?
I can... Well, I can sew on a button if it's needed.
It's needed.
What about our wives?
Bring 'em along.
Okay, Queen of Hearts, what do we do now?
Just toss down your guns, every single one of 'em. Knives, too. Knuckle dusters, tomahawks, anything that you could be foolish enough to try to do us a mischief with. You got that, Virgil? And friend?
It's Carl!
Suits you more than fuck you does.
I can't believe you're trusting them. How often do you do this?
Honestly, once a fortnight. Maybe twice. Half the time it doesn't work.
Then why do you bother at all? Just kill them.
Because half the time it does. I'm not ready to sacrifice my partners or myself just because I don't trust folk.
Someday this is going to get you killed.
Maybe so, but we ain't rebuilding nothing with more corpses. Now you interrupt me when I'm working my magic next time, and I'll gag and hogtie you. Provided your mouth and shitty attitude don't get us killed.
Abigail fell silent, and we walked out to meet Virgil and Carl, who stood meekly waiting for us in the road, like lost bearded children. In the fading light, Butler and Abigail righted the wagon and hitched 2 of our horses to it, clearing the road and ensuring that it did not go to waste. Oakley stood with me and watched the woods for goblins, or Wendigos as I must now call them, while the surviving pair of bandits dug shallow graves for their fallen comrades after stripping them of all belongings. They did not consciously check themselves in this, nor shamefully hide their deft fingers, and I surmised that a simple force of habit of looting the dead had been instilled in them over the long, hard years. Butler drew up in the wagon, and with the help of the surly wives, we began to load the spoils of the halls of these thief-lords in preparation for their permanent exodus. The process did not take long. We continued down the road, making our way towards the Cartographer base camp as a largely wary and apprehensive group now doubled in size.